Hello and welcome to this live where I'm going to be introducing Rebecca Haddad or Beck Haddad, content creator, and we're going to be talking about why content is queen, not king, queen. I am coming to you today from the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, and the traditional custodians of the land here are the Yugambeh people of the Kumbalmerri and the Kumbalmerri people, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I am welcoming some guests now. So we have a few people jumping on. Hi, 3Ps. Who's there from the 3Ps? And I've got Beck, so I'm going to invite her to jump on. Jump on, Beck. Here we go. I'll invite you. Isn't that kind of me? I must point out that my camera today is not great. Built an entire coffee on it. That was fun. There we go. Beck is coming on now. We're going to talk about content. Hello.
Hi, Em.
Good afternoon or morning over there in Perth.
It's morning for me. Yeah, it just clocked off afternoon for you, didn't it?
It did. Literally just clocked afternoon, and I just inhaled my lunch so that I could be here.
Love it.
Ready for you. Yes. I put on a bright top because I got the other day I did a podcast recording and someone said they were like, that's not like Emma Lovell brand. So I'm literally matching my banner now. And I thought I put some earrings on for you. I know you're earring gang. You like a good earring.
So much effort. I put on earrings on as well. I thought I'd put a bit of bling and something bright as well because I'm like, I'm chatting to Em and she's bright. She's energetic. Just put something bright on. Yeah, love it. On brand.
Yay, we're both on brand. So tell us, who are you?
Oh gosh, that's a very loaded question. I kid. I'm a multi-hyphenate. So I'm many, many things. First and foremost, I'm a mum to two beautiful little ladies. It's school holidays, so I do have my eldest one walking around. So if she's got any input in this live, I'm sure she'll make herself known. And yeah, based in sunny, beautiful Perth. Moved over here earlier this year from Sydney with my husband and our two kids. Loving it. And then I am a content marketer. So I do, I guess, a lot of different things with digital marketing, such as life in this space. You kind of dabble in ads and blogs and web copy and everything. But where I love to play is content specifically. So I'm a storyteller by trade. I used to work as a mag hag back in the glory days of journalism. And I still do that a little bit as a travel writer, but I've been able to apply all that storytelling, all the skills that I've learned through storytelling in a digital marketing space. So I help, thought leaders, small business owners, multinational brands tell stories, be that, through blog posts or ideas for reels or web copy, all that kind of stuff. Anything words and ideas related, that's where I am.
I love it. And Rachel from Rachel's List gave me the slashy. She said, so you're a true slashy. And I was like, I haven't heard that one. So you're a bit of a slashy, but you have really drilled down on the content. And it is so interesting to hear because, these jobs didn't exist 10 years ago.
100%.
Content creator would be like, what?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us got into it, because someone said, oh, I need you to do this. And you're like, oh, is that actually a job?
Yeah.
And now
it's actually a thing. Yeah. I still think that sometimes, but it is so important. It's amazing how much our skills are actually needed. And I think it's very hard for creatives in general to put value on these sort of skills because it's one thing, the output that people see is a social caption or a blog post or a reel, but it's all that background thought that goes into it. It's applying business objectives to something that will still offer value to audiences. It's understanding audiences. There's just so much behind the scenes work involved. And it's very hard to place a value on that because it isn't tangible. It's all these, you're hiring me for my brain and my ideas. And it's really hard, as creatives to constantly justify that value, not only to other people, but for ourselves as well. I think it can be a tricky thing to balance.
Absolutely. And it takes years. I mean, just like even you saying mag hag, I'm just like, oh my God, you're such a, when you're talking to writers, because they just have these clever little quips and taglines and, just like, but yeah, it's years of experience that gets you to be able to do that. And yeah, it might only produce something of one line, or, a blog article of 500 words. But for someone else to do that, the energy and the brain power it would take to get to that 500 words, that where someone who has that experience and knows structure and knows messaging and knows how to connect with an audience, yeah, that's all that skill that goes behind it, not literally 500 words.
Yeah, no, exactly. It takes so much practice to get to that level. And I think just, it is a formula. It's meeting that fine line at the moment, especially with this advent of, native advertising and branded content and paid social strategies and stuff. You still need to have that element of storytelling in there. So it's a fine line between, sales pitch and stories and, not overselling products, but being able to tell the story behind them as well, and celebrate the people behind those products and businesses and stuff too, which is equally important. And I think, it comes down to audience at the end of the day. And I always say this to clients, it's audience first. That's who you're creating content for, and your
Yep.
stories. And it's just, it's a hard thing sometimes for them to get their head around, because they're like, well, I've got this product, I just want to promote this. And it's like, well, people want to see the people behind that product and how that product was developed and what goes on behind the scenes day to day. And I guess you find this a lot as well, and that whole showing up, and something that you always tell me to do as well. So it's, one of those things that's like, it is so important. I mean, I know you were talking yesterday about your retreat, but that's essentially why I gravitated to you, because I started following you on socials and I could see you showing up and I understood the person behind the brand and I resonated with that. And then that led me to go on a retreat. So it's the same kind of principle, really. People relate to people. So if you can show that personality as much as possible, and it is possible to do, I've worked with a whole gamut of brands across a lot of industries that people would deem really boring or you can't get anything out of it, and you really can. It's just, understanding that your audiences are people too. They don't want to be sold products all the time. They want to know stories and behind the scenes quirks and other, interesting things that happen around that product or service.
Well, and especially, I've actually talked a few times, like with Rachel from Rachel's List and a few other people with like freelancers. It's even the people who are creating the content. It's like just looking at that, sort of category. It's like there are so many writers out there, and there are so many products out there, and there's so many things. But like if we look at the writer example, there are so many writers. Why would they choose, Beck? Why would they choose Rebecca? And it's like, if you just Google in writers, you can have anybody, but it's that flavor, and it's that, and it's not just about niching. I think because niching became such a big thing, people worried about it. It's like,
yeah,
if you're struggling with, and I did, choosing because I want to work with everybody. I think I love everybody. But actually the more that I've showed up, the more that I've showed my flavor and this rainbow vomit of a, outlandish person, I'm going to attract people who like that. And if you don't like that, literally I got asked to do, and I'm not saying that this industry is necessarily like, I got asked to do an accounting website and they asked to sound more professional. And I was like, that's not me. I am professional, but I'm like, that's not going to be something that I'm going to be interested in doing. I don't think I'm going to do the best person to work for you. And it's actually really liberating. Whereas I have worked on a website, and the whole thing for an, bookkeeping, which could also be seen to be but it was like the whole point of the recreation of the website was to make it more personable, to show more of the team, to bring out the personality. And I'm like, now I can help you. That's where I can help you. And so I think, businesses who recognize that showing personality, like you do not, and people realizing as well, yes, as you say, that it's you who's going to sell it. It's that, why do we personify a brand? Why do we personify a product? Why do we try and give human traits to them? Because we want to relate. And so the more you can show that, the human side and the person side and the connection side, then you're going to be able to sell. That's the content.
Such a good point. Yeah. I think a lot of people, I like to consider personality a value prop. Because really there are lots of people that do what we do, Em. There are plenty of writers there. I can recommend amazing digital marketers out there. I can recommend amazing travel writers. There are lots of people who do what we do, but there's enough in the world for there to be, like, there's enough space for everybody to work and be successful, because it is that personality connection too. There are people who might not resonate with the way I approach things or the way I do things, and that's completely fine. But there are people who do. And I think, you know, that's another challenge of being a small business owner and a freelancer as well, is that you don't, it can be pretty stressful, you know, where wanting to kind of set up that regular income for yourself. I totally get all of that. And I've been down that road before many times, but it is very liberating when you just start being true to yourself and who you are and just showcasing yourself, you know, to hell with what anyone thinks about it. And people will come, they'll gravitate towards you and they'll want to find out more about your business. And there are some who don't, and that's completely fine. So it's just, it's just knowing and treating your personality like a value prop, because that is such an important part of selling what you do.
Yeah. It's so lovely to hear you say that. And I know that something that you said in the last few months, which I loved hearing, was that you were like, I'm just having fun with my content now. Like, so your personal content and business content, you're like, I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah, I think it's just that letting go of the inhibitions and stuff. And I think, you know, it took me a while to get to that point, because I really needed to take the space to invest in what like have the time to reflect on who I am as a business and who I am as a person and what I want to do. And that's where the retreat comes in again. Another plug, but it's, you know, it is.
But actual plug.
But actual plug, like register right now. But also it's just taking that space for yourself to kind of address who you want to be and who you want to attract and the kind of clients you want to work with. And just knowing that you can only be your authentic self. You can't force yourself to be all things to all people. It just doesn't work. And it's like that with content too. You might work with clients from time to time where you're like, oh, this is a drag. I'm really punishing myself with this content. And you know that you don't want to work, you know, with a particular client, or you don't want to work in a particular niche or with a particular industry, because it just doesn't work for you. And that's completely okay.
Yeah. And the quicker that you get to that, the better for you. And it is such a beautiful feeling when you are surrounded by, and like, I mean, you know, for the audience, Beck and I met through a group. I've referenced it twice now, so Rachel better start my dividend. You know, Rachel's List is this wonderful website for freelancers and writers and content creators, where they can find jobs. But there's also a Facebook group which is super connected and everyone's super helpful and it's really lovely. And so we've met through that, like, you know, we were just both commenting on posts and stuff. And then, as Beck said, you know, then followed on socials. We actually became real accountability buddies.
Yes, we did.
I was enjoying what Beck was putting up, and I was like, oh, and she's like, oh, I need to do more. And I'd say, I need to do more. And so I was like, let's motivate each other. So if we posted one, then you share it to the other one and go, well, I've done mine, so now it's yours. That's what I was doing, like one a week.
You're
Beck.
So much better. I know. You're so
now it's like daily.
Yeah.
Now you're like, slow down. Just stop.
Yeah. Just stop. Chill, Em.
That's
the thing. If you like doing it, that's the thing. If you like doing it, keep doing it. It's working for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing growth. You're having meaningful conversations with people. People are resonating with what you're posting. To hell with it. If you want to do it daily, do it daily. If it's working for you,
and I was putting rules on myself. Like, I was putting this like, got to post one a week, and then I was like saving content, like saving things for for the next week, or like I'll save that idea for another time. And by the time I got around to it, you know, it was no longer relevant. And there's, you know, like, maybe we're not going to post 10 times a day. Like, that could be a lot, and you don't want to post 10, 20 times a day and then not for 3 weeks. But you know, I think also sometimes with the content actual creation, as we both know, the ideas come to at the most inconvenient of times. Yeah. So lying in bed, in the shower, driving the car, hands full with my child, that's when the ideas will come. And of course, I've started taking the opportunity. I just write things down, or I send myself a voice memo, or literally lying in bed, I've recorded reels, because I'm like, if I don't do it right now, I will put the idea on the back burner and not do it. So, like, capturing that idea. But you know, it is being in the moment, having fun with it, letting go of it. And then that is more you, because you're not trying to overthink it, overcraft it. And yeah, it led you to, you know, then you listen to the podcast, which is so lovely. And then you came on the retreat, and just,
Yeah.
we cannot believe we've now caught up in real life twice. And we
I
were
know,
sitting together
crazy.
like 2 weeks ago, and it was like, how is this? How have we not known you forever? You know,
I know.
it's
It's
so
nice.
amazing.
And it's one of those beautiful things that I love so much about social media. It's the community that you create and the connections that you have too. And that only comes from being authentic, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we wouldn't have worked if, you know, you'd seen all this stuff about me and I'd seen all these things about you, and then we met, we're like, hi. Like, it would have been
Like,
jarring, but it
it's just
wasn't,
super
because,
awkward. Yeah.
yeah, because you were you, and I've seen you, like, who you are, and I like that. And you've seen me, and you've seen who I am, except mine probably, if anything, dials up in real life. So you think this is full?
We love
No,
that vibe.
you've not seen full steam. You haven't
She's
seen full
going at a
steam.
3 out of 10 right now, everyone. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
no, I
about
think
30%.
operating at about 30% now. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. You know, it's still morning over here. I think, yeah, to the other point that you're making about, you know, the frequency of when you post too, I think that also puts a lot of pressure on people. I know I sometimes succumb to that pressure. Like, I feel like I need to be showing up every day, but also at the same time, it's better to focus on value. So the
Mm-hmm.
quality of what you're putting out rather than the quantity, because if something resonates, you can share it again. Like, post a reel, and if you like it and you haven't posted anything in a while, just reshare it and drum up more conversations and things like that. If you've, you know, you've had a blog post kind of sitting on your website that you still think is relevant and you want to share it with the masses, reshare it. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be brand new content. It doesn't have to be content all the time. And that's another thing. I think a lot of, you know, a lot of my clients kind of feel daunted by that challenge, because they're like, oh my God, how do I think up 50 ideas for the month? And I say to them, you know, if you should be making your content work smarter rather than harder. So if you've got a blog post, you can translate that into, you know, 5 or 6 different social posts that all link back to the blog to drive traffic. You can turn the blog into an infographic or transform it into a reel where you don't, you know, you don't necessarily have to show your face. You just got to focus on that audience value. So you can do something that's, you know, if you've got a blog that's about top 5 tips, do like a text-based reel and pick some trending audio to let it scale organically. Just little things like that. Just to, yeah, I'm a big believer in repurposing quality content. If you've got it there, just share it and share it again, because what's valuable now is still likely to be valuable to your audience months down the track as well.
I think it's, well, like, that's so true, and it's so helpful, because even I've seen, yeah, I've wasted so much time reinventing the wheel when, yes, and even like, even being even smarter about it at the moment. Like, there, I do some of it, but like, you know, I should be starting with the blog post or starting with the live, and then from that comes, starting with the podcast or the live, which then turns into the blog post, which then turns into the socials, which also turns into audio tiles and also turns into reels. Sometimes I start with the reel, go the other way. Well, this is a blog post as well. This is I'll do a podcast about the reel that I did. So, I mean, it can go both ways, but I then record things 3 times as opposed to recording it once and then taking the pieces out of it. But, you know, even putting just a new intro line or a new cover photo on something, it's just wonders. Like, my blogs are going really well at the moment. And as you said, some of them are sitting there for 18 months, but people didn't know me 18 months ago, so they never saw them. And if I don't direct them to them, they're not going to maybe just go on my website and go, I wonder if Emma has a blog. Oh, she does have a blog about the thing that I need to know. But but also, yeah, I just think that's so helpful to know. But I always say to people as well, just look at your goddamn website, because, like, with no offense, nobody is reading word for word verbatim your website. You could literally just pull lines from your website. That's a post. Pull a line, great photo. That's a post. Pull a line, you know, make a reel. Like, there's so much content. And when we look at big brands, like, and you go back to the core of the message, your core message is the same always, and should be anyway. Your key messages should be the same. Nike tells us just to do it, and that we are all athletes. They don't
Simplest
try.
tagline ever. Don't you wish
Yeah.
you were the copywriter behind that one?
Oh my God. That he just, I would have just penned down, mic drop. I'm done.
Like,
Thank you.
I'm going to
Give me
retire
my
now. I'm good.
bazillions. But, you know, like they tell us that they do sport over and over and over again. McDonald's tell us that they sell food over and over and over again. Disney tell us that they sell happiness over and over and over again. Like they're not, the message is the same. It's just repackaged or repurposed in a different way. But I find that even myself, sometimes I'm trying to be like saying it in a totally different way, in a new way. And it's like, when I go back a few years, I was like, I was actually saying it right. I just have stopped saying it, and I've gone and tried to say it all these whirligig ways when the fact of the matter is I help people to show up, you know?
Yeah.
And I, you know, that's it.
Keep it simple, honestly. And that's the other thing. It's people who are in very niche industries where, you know, information can be quite technical, and it's easy to get caught up in that internal jargon that a wider audience might not understand. So it's just simplicity is the best way to go. And, you know, it's not about sounding like an expert, sounding, you know, quite often that jargon is so lost on people that they just check out because they're just like, well, I don't fully understand what's going on here. Can't relate, out of it. So
too long, didn't read.
Yeah, too long, didn't read, can't be bothered. But it is that, you know, it's important to show the expertise, but it's a real tricky balance to speak in a way that isn't, you know, almost condescending, but is clear about who you are and what you're offering without it, you know, being over the top with wanky jargon and things like that. And there are a lot of industries like that, but it is, yeah, simplicity is always best. It really is.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I think just, it does help though. It does help having someone like yourself, having this content, you know, expert come and look at your stuff. Because you even in, you know, a few minutes of talking to you, you're like, oh, Emma, that thing that you said was great. And, oh, you could use it this way. And you're just like, oh, I didn't see that. So there's a real value even in, you know, and, you know, Beck, it's work, you know, I'm helping Beck with her own content, and you think, oh, they just know how to do it. But we're sometimes so busy looking at other people's stuff that you can't see the wood through the trees for your own stuff. So it does help. And whether it is a paid expert or whether it's just someone you bounce off and you get someone to look at, I mean, what your customers are telling you, what people are like if someone's responding to something, and you literally said it today again, you were like, I came on the retreat because of you. And I asked, I've got a couple of ladies who've signed up for the next one, and I was like, well, you need to tell me, like, so why did you sign up? Because then I can tell other people to sign up. They're like, because of you. And I'm like, no, that's not helpful. And it's like, or I could just lean into that and go, come and hang out with me. Like,
yeah, well, I think you demonstrate your expertise enough, but it is that personality. Like, people feel comfortable to be vulnerable and explore a little bit more and grow professionally and personally in that space with you. That's the thing. It's people relating to people. So yeah, it's one of those things. Like, you've just got to, I think, just be authentic, be simple, keep it real.
just keep it real and do real.
Keep it real. Yeah.
Keep it real and do real.
I think reels daunts people a lot at the moment, I think, because it's very like, do I have to do a dance? Do I have to show up all the time? But there are ways you can get around it. You can still, and I think the other thing about reels is that it's very reactive. So if there's a trending audio, it's gone a week later. So you need to move pretty quickly on it. But, you know, there are ways you can apply a trending audio to something that you've already got, like rehash a piece of content. Just, you know, put a picture of your face up with text all around it, so you don't have to dance, or you don't have to, you know, make any expression at all, but you still want to show up, or you don't have to show up at all, and you can just do kind of behind the scenes of you working or what you're doing and showcase your products and have audio running off the top of that. So you can still churn out content fairly quickly to suit reels, but still, you know, showcase a bit more behind your brand.
It just made me think of a reel, so I'm writing it on my hand. Because I thought of it ages ago. I'm not going to tell you, I'm just going to share it.
Yeah, I love it.
But no, actually I will. It's like Post-its. Like, I remember this one where it's like Post-its. So like you just put the Post-its down with words on them.
Yeah.
Really watching, waiting to see what's on the Post-its. You don't have to show your face. Show the Post-its. Post-it tells you the message. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Post-it. Cool music. Done. But like, I think as well, I've said to you before, I've seen you do a reel and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I'm going to copy you. But it's not ever going to be copying, because I literally cannot do it the way that you did it because I'm not you. So, and I try not to use that language anyway. I say inspired by, you know, but it's not trying to be you. It's like, I love the concept that you've done. I love the music that you've done. And I think I could put my own spin on it and have fun with it. And I think if you look at it that way, as opposed to, I think that people are probably afraid to even try something that someone else has done. But it's like half the ones that you see are probably somebody has seen them and done it their own way anyway. And also, I think that like you'll have days where you'll create something, inevitably, something you spend ages on that you think this is the best idea ever. And I've got all the pieces. I got like the trending audio and I got this and I got this and I did a transition and it was like, whew. And then you get like 300 views. And then you'll do some shitty one lying in bed and it'll get like 5,000 views. And you're like, I didn't even do anything. And it's just like, I think there is a formula, but there's also trial and error. And if you have fun with it, then who cares? And look at people's history. Like, go back and look at my history, my first reel. Oh my God.
Oh God, yeah. I always think, oh God, I should delete them. There are some that I look back on and I'm like, oh my God. But no, it's growth.
No,
it shows where you are and where you've been. And yeah, you can only improve by doing. You can only improve by doing, really.
Really? So many puns.
Really?
Really. By the way, everyone who's watching, thank you for staying on for so long. If you have any questions, we'll stick around just for a few more minutes, but if you have any questions about content or comments about content or all the things, please do say. If you're watching back the replay, you can always comment on the video and we can respond to you. Beck, before we head off and while we're sort of closing up, how do people connect with you? How do they find you and all of your fabulous content online?
Love it. Well, I'm mainly on Instagram at the moment. So if you follow me at Beck Haddad Content, or you can find me on my website, rebeccahaddad.com. It's in desperate need of an upgrade. Such is the life of a freelancer, looking after all the clients and not looking after yourself. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's where I mainly am. And then I'm also on TikTok, Beck Haddad Content. So yeah, hope to connect with you there.
Yes, I love it. And what, like, in terms of the people that you're working with, what sort of content are you loving creating for people? Like, so you're having fun with reels yourself, or what are you liking creating for client content?
I think the best thing for me is giving them something that they know that I can demonstrate translates into 10 different pieces of content. I just love seeing, I find it so satisfying because then I know I've done my job. I want them to see that content needs to work smarter rather than harder. So I love creating a blog and then translating that into, 10 or 15 different ideas for social and for, even for them to put on their LinkedIn and build their own personal profiles, which I do a lot of as well, that thought leadership element of it too. And I love seeing clients kind of the light bulb clicks and they realize, oh my God, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can just take as much value out of this one piece of content and then rehash it a few months later because it's all still relevant. And I think that is, Life Solutions just said, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Absolutely. It's sustainable content.
Tech, greenwashing, love it.
You can just, take one piece of content if it's valuable and it resonates and it's targeting your audience in all the right ways, and there's no reason why you can't reuse the crap out of it as much as possible, because it will still resonate months later, years later. I
love it. Yes. So maybe our takeaway from this is to go and look at your website. Don't judge yourself. No judges. Just go and look there. I'm sure there's at least one line of text, one line of because text, I find the words are the hardest for people. They can find the fancy picture, but they can't find the words. So find the words, find an image that relates, and then go with it. And then turn it into a book. Yes, I love it. 3 Ps. Yes, Alicia. Yes, exactly. Yes. Just all of my podcasts are going to be a book. It's going to be absolute gibberish.
Emma's memoir is coming out in a couple of years, just saying. So.
My memoir. Good luck. Oh, my God. But that's it. It is. But then you put it into a book. You can create so many things with it. But, and then, yeah, so go to your website, maybe go have a little scroll back through your socials, find a post that you liked or you saw that did well, and then reuse the copy, the
Yeah.
text, and find a different picture, because you obviously a
Yeah.
picture you might have physically changed. So you can put a picture of you. And what I have, one of the content that I love, my favorite reuse is myself. Reintroduce yourself.
Yes.
Reintroduce
And
yourself.
that's something I'm guilty of not doing, and I know
Okay,
it's
today.
important because yeah,
Done.
done. But you know, like your audience is growing. Your audience is always going to grow, and people, you know, to your point before as well, share that you've got a blog, share that you have these different services. Go to your website, look at your about page, and look at your services page, and break that all up into pieces of social content, because your audience, your new audience, is probably aware of you, but might not be aware of all that you do or all that you offer. So
Yeah.
it is, I mean, you know, it's fair enough for me to give advice and not take it myself, but I will start posting a little bit more.
I promise.
Kind of,
I vow to you here, listeners. Hand on
I
your
know,
iPhone.
I put it up there now, so now I have to follow through.
And I'm deleting this video. So thank you so much, Beck. You really,
Thanks, Em.
I've loved getting to know you in real life, IRL.
I know.
I feel inspired and motivated by you. I love how you keep me accountable, and I love how much fun we have together making content. And I'm going to make a special, I was like last night, I didn't get around to it, but I'm going to make a special reel just for you, and you're just going to love it.
Love it. Thanks, Em. Likewise. It's really great to, and I think, you know, content is not something to be scared of, and I hope a lot of people got some takeaways from this, that they can go and kind of look back at the content they've already got and reuse, reduce, and recycle.
Yes, life solutions. We're all getting content from this call. Okay, note to self, transcribe the whole thing. This just became a vlog. Adore you. Thank you. Comments, questions, chuck them in there. Hope if you're watching the replay, thanks for being here, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Em.